So when I'm deleting it, it is not changing the total number of subscreens. The 10 numbers is still the same. The reason is the total number of subscreens cannot be reduced using this screen. For that, you need to go back to the data screen list and use the screen control column and change the value to select less number of subscreens. So when I select this one, 4000, then the total number of subscreens available in this view are going to be reduced to 6. Right? And if you want to change the order of the subscreens, let's say I want the general data to be the first subscreen, then material description, then dimensions. Then you can use these, select that view, use these buttons to move the subscreen up or down. Now, even though we have selected only one line, if you still get this message, save the data, exit the transaction, and then execute it again. Because sometimes the system will still, in the back end, have selected a line. So in order to deselect it, just exit the transaction completely and execute the transaction. So that way, all the selections will be deselected. So when you execute, go back and select your view and make the necessary changes. I'm just waiting again for the application to complete its transaction. Again, once the views are displayed, select the view, go to data screen, select the data screen, double click on views, select the subscreen, move it up or down. So when I move it, it's going to change. Now when I look at the data screen, I have general data, material, and dimensions. So whatever is the order required by the client, I can move the subscreens around. But when I want to maintain the order of the main data screens, I do not have an option to change the order here. Okay. For that, once the screen sequence is completed, all the screen sequence are created and their relevant views and subscreens are selected, exit the transaction, go back to the IMG screen. Now you go to maintain order of main and additional screens, execute, double click on your relevant screen sequence, and here you maintain the order. So instead of the order being 1, 2, 3, 4, here the order numbers are 10, 20, 30. So select the order in which the views have to be displayed. And this to be the third, fourth, fifth, and I want this to be the sixth one, and this one to be the 7, and 8. Then I want MRP to be 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we selected 12 main screens, so all the 12 have been maintained in the order. Okay. Now that I have created the screen sequence and maintained the order of main and additional screens and also the subscreens, now I need to assign it to my criteria. So I go to assign screen sequences, click on execute. Now in order to assign to these criteria, I need to first create the screen reference code for each of the criteria. So on the left, I have the options for creating the screen references. Double click on material type screen reference. Go to the material type, which is ROH. We go to ROH and give a 1 to 4 character alphanumeric code. Let's say I'm just going to give VGR. Similarly, double click on industry sector screen reference and assign a new code for the mechanical engineering industry sector. Ensure that the code that you want to assign is not already created in the system. So once you have assigned the code, click on Save. Now go to Screen Sequence Control, click on New Entries. Transaction screen reference is 01. User screen reference, specify star, that is any user. Material type screen reference VGR. Industry screen reference is V. Screen sequence is YB. The effect of this is what I've just done is any user using any transaction code, if they access material type identified by the screen reference, in the industry sector identified by the screen reference, the combination of views and subscreens to be defined is identified by this screen sequence. Once you enter it and press enter, you have to get this message one entry chosen at the bottom. If you even get a warning messages here are also equivalent to error messages. It simply indicates the combination of criteria and the screen sequence you have entered is not accepted by the system. But if you get this message one entry chosen, it means the combination of criteria and the screen sequence you have entered is accepted. Now before I save it, let's see what is the standard sequence and what is the effect of this change. So let me open the material and I'm going to change it here. Display the change material screen. Enter one of the material that we created. Now I get to see the standard. So the order is also basic data 1, basic data 2, purchasing, foreign trade, order types, and then decline data. Then we have store allocation, stock plan, stock WM. All these are there. So now let's save the changes we just made. The data is saved. Now I go back to the same screen, execute the transaction again so that the changes are activated. Select. Now when I press enter, I get only the shortened list, right? And they are in the order in which I have maintained it. And the additional screens which were available earlier are not getting displayed because my screen sequence does not include all those additional views, right? When I select basic data and check that basic data, again it only shows me 3 subscreens as created in my screen sequence. Yay. So this is how I create and assign a screen sequence for any type of activity. Now the criteria can be anything that you require, that the client requires. So you can create as many screen sequences and assign it for a particular combination. One very important thing to remember during the assignment is this first row, which shows 0, 1, star, 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 and the standard screen sequence 21. This entry should be always displayed in the screen. Okay, that means you should not be making any changes to this first row data, nor should you be deleting it. Whether it is in practice or in the real time, this entry should always be there. Now, in case for any reason this entry is not there, the system will not allow you to carry out any material master related transactions. You will not be allowed to create, change, display, anything. And without material changes or anything, you cannot obviously carry out transactions with the latest data. So that means it will not allow you to make any changes. Now, if it is changed or if it is deleted for any reason and you try to add it back, system will not allow you to add it back. The only solution would be to reinstall SAP, and that's not a small thing, as you can understand. Okay, so please be careful when you're creating. Don't make any creating a screen sequence. Don't make any changes to the standard screen sequence. And when you're assigning, do not make any changes to the first row. The first row should always be there. Okay.